So executive functioning. So lots of different definitions about what EF actually is, but it's a set of cognitive processes that help us with goal-directed or problem-solving behavior. In fact, it's processes that help us either guide behavior or control behavior. And I like to think of it also as skills that help us prepare intrapersonally or internally for what we need to do externally. Now, I don't know about you, but when I went through school 150 years ago, there was nothing about my interior landscape. It was all about what I was giving out. Now, think about us as humans. Think about what we need to organize internally to be able to produce externally, yet hardly any of our time is spent focused on that. And even when there's challenging behavior, I'm child A and I hit you, the focus is on, look how you made her feel. Look how she is experiencing it. Look what you did to her. Now, if you pause for a moment and think, if I'm a child with challenging behavior, if I'm a child who has trouble regulating my emotions and my behavior is out of control, and I'm always focusing on what I did to others, how am I going to learn? So executive functioning is a set of cognitive processes, but the cognitive processes are also connected to looking intrapersonally and regulating your emotions and helping you resolve conflicts. So let's look at that broad definition, because that's basically all behavior, right? Basically, it's like, oh my gosh, it's everything. Yeah, pretty much. So there's three main domains that you can think of for executive functioning. The first is working memory. So working memory, a great way to think about it is like a little desk in your brain that you put stuff on for short periods of time because you're going to use it, you're going to act on it. Right? So it's directions, it's multiple step directions. In the old days, it used to be phone numbers, right? Any sort of information you need to be able to, in the moment, to be able to use and act on regularly. So it's not just memory, it's memory that you actually act upon and you work with. You work with your memory. So it helps you plan, initiate, organize, and carry out tasks. Now, working memory is a very complex issue, and we know that children with special needs and disabilities often have deficits in this area. In all three of these areas we're going to look at, but domain number 2, impulse control or inhibitory control. Okay. Inhibitory control, pausing to think before acting. There's a great quote by, it's accredited to Viktor Frankl, but they're not really sure who said it. Freedom is the space between stimulus and response. And think about that for us as adults. How many times we don't have very much space, especially 21st century, where we've got all these devices and all these demands and everybody's thinking they're multitasking when nobody really can. So the space gets very, very small. So inhibitory control, that part of the brain, the executive functioning skills, help us put a space there. To delay gratification, to break habits. To regulate emotions and filter out distractions. Inhibitory control, second domain we'll explore. The third is cognitive or mental flexibility. This one's really interesting to me, and in my work in private practice, with adults, because I do adults and children, I see a lot of difficulty still in the 40s, 50s, 60s. I have two 80-year-olds right now with this cognitive flexibility. This is a very difficult skill for even adults, and then we expect children to have it. And it's shifting gears. It's shifting gears. You expected something was going to go one way, and it's going another way. And it's also about considering another person's perspective. It's not completely housed in EF skills. There's also resonance circuitry in the brain, but it's the idea of like, I thought this is the way it should be done, but my partner, my lab partner, thinks it should be done this way. How can I have the flexibility to take on somebody else's perspective? So we want to scan for options, how to respond both intellectually and emotionally, and then tracking efforts. Effort tracking or monitoring your progress as you go along is a really important part of executive functioning. And why I like this aspect of executive functioning 2 is it's not relying on your teacher to track your efforts. Now you give them their final grade, but as they're working, they're keeping an eye on monitoring their efforts and knowing where they think they're feeling strong, understanding where they might have need to take a second look, monitoring my efforts.